So today we're writing equations from graphs, tables, and slopes and y-intercepts. Gotta be specific. So these are notes. We're writing linear equations in slope-intercept form. We're identifying the initial value, which is our y-intercept from a table, graph, equation, or verbal description, and we're using the slope to write linear equations. Please cross out function and put equation. We're writing in the form of y equals mx plus b, and then we're graphing them as well. M and b must be replaced with numbers. I am giving them values. So in this linear equation form, m is going to be my slope. A couple weeks ago, we talked about a rate of change. That's exactly what a slope is. It is my delta y over delta x. B is my y-intercept. That is also where x equals 0. You will need this later on. So first I'm going to write the equation of a line given the slope and a y-intercept. Here's my slope and here's my y-intercept. So write the equation of a line with the given slope and y-intercept. 3/4 and -3. My slope is -2. My y-intercept is 5. M equals -2. B equals 5. Here's the M that I'm referring to, and here's the B. I can now write my equation by just saying y equals, what is M? -2. Put that next to x plus b, so plus 5. I am done writing that equation. Easy. Over here, my m equals 3/4, and my b equals -3. Be careful here. My y is going to equal 3/4 x, but I can't put plus minus 3. That's going to look very silly. This is what it would look like. Y equals 3/4 x plus -3. Remember, I can't have two signs back to back, so I make this a big old fat negative sign when they're different. Remember, same signs add, different signs subtract. So this would be the same sign and different signs. So, I'm sorry, different sign, same sign. This would be a negative. This will end up being positive. Remember, if you have minus a negative, it becomes a giant plus sign. And then if you have plus a negative, it becomes a giant minus sign. Great, now I've made my paper messy. So let's get rid of this, that. Like it was never there. All right, so this would be 3/4 x minus 3. This tells me that my y-intercept is -3. Okay? Write the equation of a line in slope-intercept form given a graph. Here, I need to make a table. Then I need to find my rate of change. Then I need to find my y-intercept. Then I can finally write my equation. Remember, I only need 2 points for a line. Okay, I know that's a lot to squeeze down there, but all of this information is important. So from the 2 points that I'm given, I need to make a table and then find the rate of change and find my y-intercept, and then I can write my equation. x and y. So the first point that they give me is 3 and negative 1. And another point that they give me is 0, negative 5. From negative 1 to negative 5, I am subtracting 4. That is my change in y. And then from 3 to 0, I am subtracting 3. Delta y over delta x gives me negative 4 over negative 3. And a negative divided by a negative ends up being a positive, so this is just 4/3. My y-intercept is where x equals 0. X equals 0 right here, so my y-intercept would be negative 5. Now I'm going to do the same thing that I did up here and here. This is my m. This is my b. Y equals 4/3 x minus 5. Again, because this minus 5 is here, means that my y-intercept is negative. Put a box around it, showing me that you're done. Same thing over here. Make a table. X, y. You only need 2 points for a line, 1 point and another point. I have 4 and negative 1, and I have 0 and positive 1. Find my rate of change. How do I get from negative 1 to positive 1? That's adding 2. How do I get from 4 to 0? That is subtracting 4. Delta y over delta x. My change in y is 2. My change in x is negative 4. This is a fraction. Fractions can be simplified. Fractions can be converted into decimals. Fractions can be converted into percents. In this case, I don't want to deal with any percents because that's not anything that I've written down in my notes or discussed in class. So I'm just going to simplify it, and I'm going to end up with negative 1/2. The negative sign doesn't matter where it is. It could be on the top, it could be on the bottom, it could be in the middle, as long as there's only 1. Over here I had 2 negative signs, so these both needed to become positive because of my integer division rules. Here, this is technically a positive divided by a negative, so I still should end up with a negative answer. My slope, which is m, is negative 1/2. My y-intercept is where x equals 0 is 1. My equation can now be y equals, what is my m? Oh, I forgot to tell you that this is b. Negative 1/2 x plus 1. If you want to get fancy, you could say y equals negative 0.5 x plus 1 as well. Kind of squeeze that in there, but this is the same thing because remember, fraction, decimals, and percents are fraternal triplets. They have the same value, they just look different. On the next page, here is where I need to find the points that they have given me. Write the linear equation for the graph shown. They didn't give me numbers, but I can look at this graph and see that there are points there. There's a point here and a point here. I highly advise you to always find a point that crosses the y-axis. The y-axis is your line that goes up and down. And these are just singular. This is 1, 2, 3, 4. This is 1, 2, 3, 4. This is negative 1, negative 2, negative 3. This is negative 1, negative 2, negative 3. So I'm going to look at these points. X, Y. Looks like X, X. And then look at these points over here. X and Y. This Start at the origin. How far did you run? I ran -1, 2, 3. So that's going to be my x. And then I jumped down -2. My point here is -3, -2. Here, did I run at all? No, I just jumped up 2. So since I did not run, I need a value to show me that. And then I jumped up 2. This is 0, 2. Over here, they made this one even more challenging. It's gradually getting harder and harder because you will see questions like this on your test or quiz. They want you to find the points and then find the slope, then find the y-intercept, then finally find your equation. Here is a point, and here is a point. How did I get that? I looked to see where these two, or where the vertical lines, vertical goes up and down, horizontal lines go left and right. I looked to see where they crossed, and I looked to see where this graph, because this is the graph of my line, met them. This is also a point. This is also going to be a point. This is also going to be a point. I have 5 points here, but I really need the one that passes through the y-axis and then any other point on here. So the one that passes through the y-axis, here is my y-axis. Did I run or jump? No. So my x should be 0. I'm sorry, I lied. Did I run? No, I did jump. I jumped down 1, 2, 3. So that's going to be -3. Now I'm going to take another point. Let's try this one over here. How far did I run? -1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And how high did I jump? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I ran to the left 6, and then I ran up, or jumped up 6. I need to figure out if I'm running or jumping. Starling doesn't do either of them. But anyway, so now I need to find my rate of change. That's my delta y over delta x for this one, and delta y over delta x for this one. How do I get from -2 to +2? I add 4. How do I get from -3 to 0? I add 3. This ends up being 4/3. 4 over 3. My y-intercept is where x equals 0. X equals 0 and y is 2. I need that y value. Now I am able to write my equation for number 5. Y equals 4/3 x plus 2. I am done. Put a box around it. Then, over here, how do I get from -3 to +6? That's +9. How do I get from 0 to -6? That's -6. I have +9 over -6. I can reduce this by 3. This becomes -3 over 2. -3 over 2. My y-intercept is where x equals 0, so that's going to be -3. Then my y is going to equal -3 over 2x minus 3. Put a box around it, you're done.